For most people, World War II ended with victory parades, headlines, and a world trying to breathe again. But in the shadows, a different story was being written. A quiet deal. A secret handshake with darkness. The United States didn't just defeat Nazi Germany. It scooped up its brightest, and most dangerous, minds. Rocket geniuses. Chemical masterminds. Men tied to horror, brutality, and war crimes. And instead of prison or punishment, they got new passports, fresh names, and front row seats to America's future. This wasn't a rumor. This wasn't a conspiracy. This was real. It was called Operation Paperclip. The secret operation that helped launch the Cold War race, powered NASA's rise to the moon, and forced the world to ask a brutal question. How far will a nation go? To win? Yeah. This one ain't your regular history lesson. This is where science, power, and morality crash into each other. And the truth? It's darker than you think. Before the world was torn apart, Germany was already on fire. Not with hate, but with science. A nation where minds were sharper than swords, and ideas moved faster than bullets. Universities like Göttingen, Berlin, and Munich weren't just schools, they were launch pads for genius. Physicists, chemists, engineers, rocketeers, all pushing the limits of what humans thought was possible. The air buzzed with invention. From rocketry to aviation, chemical formulas to theoretical physics, Germany was shaping the future while the rest of the world slept. And it wasn't just theory. The V-2 rocket, jet engines, experimental aircraft designs, they were real, deadly, and ahead of their time. The wheels of progress were spinning faster than anyone could stop. Factories hummed with electricity and ambition. Men in lab coats scribbled formulas, built prototypes, and dreamed of reaching beyond the clouds. Even the idea of leaving the Earth itself wasn't science fiction anymore, it was mathematical reality waiting to happen. But brilliance is a double-edged sword. For every discovery, there was a shadow creeping closer. Politics, ideology, and hunger for power were waiting to take these minds and twist them. Still, in this moment, Germany shone. The laboratories, the workshops, the university halls, they were alive. Ideas flew like sparks in the night, and the world didn't even know it. Yet. This was Germany before the darkness. Where genius ruled. And the stage was being set for history that no one would forget. Germany. A nation once buzzing with science, art, and big dreams, suddenly finds itself drowning in chaos. People are broke, angry, scared, and desperately looking for someone to blame. And out of that darkness rises a movement that promises hope, but instead delivers pure nightmare. This is the rise of Nazism. It starts slow. Politicians yelling louder than everyone else. Crowds cheering because the words sound strong, powerful, comforting. But hidden behind those speeches? Hate. Control. A master plan to lock the world inside fear. They take over the streets. Flags everywhere. Marches echoing like thunder. And people start thinking, maybe these guys are the heroes. But heroes don't burn books. Heroes don't silence voices. Heroes don't turn neighbors into enemies. Bit by bit, freedom gets choked out. Newspapers controlled. Schools brainwashed. Science, military, industry, all wrapped in one iron fist. The world watches, not realizing a storm is building. This wasn't just politics. This was a machine. Organized, ruthless, obsessed with power. They didn't just want control of Germany. They wanted control of the future. Families disappeared. Voices vanished. Humanity was replaced with fear, salute, and absolute obedience. The streets that once echoed with music and innovation, now echoed with boots, orders, and screams the world will never forget. And just like that, the world learned something brutal. Evil doesn't always arrive with monsters. Sometimes, it comes in uniforms, speeches, and promises wrapped in flags. This was the rise of the machine. and the world was about to pay the price. Deep in the heart of Nazi Germany, there were places hidden behind barbed wire, iron gates, and secrets so thick the world didn't even know they existed. Places built on brilliance, but powered by fear. Places where science wasn't about helping humanity anymore. It was about building domination. These were the factories of genius. And hell. Inside massive underground bunkers, research labs buzzed day and night. Engineers sketched blueprints of machines the world had never seen before. Rockets touching the edge of space. Jet engines screaming across the sky. Weapons so advanced they looked like science fiction. On the outside, it looked like pure technological glory. A nation pushing science to the future. But step inside, and the truth hits hard. This innovation was dripping with suffering. Forced labor. Prisoners treated like tools. People working until they collapsed, just so these machines could exist. Humanity wasn't part of the equation anymore. Only power, control, and speed. In these secret labs, the line between genius and evil vanished. Scientists weren't just inventing tech. They were building nightmares. Rockets capable of wiping cities. Aircrafts faster than anything on Earth. New forms of destruction. Wrapped in math, steel, and cold precision. Every breakthrough came with a price. Every innovation had blood on it. These weren't just factories. They were prisons disguised as laboratories. And yet, here's the twisted part. The same technology that was built for chaos would one day launch humanity toward the stars. Space programs, jet aviation, rocket science, all would trace their roots back to these dark rooms. So yeah, history gets complicated real fast. These places created genius. But they also created pain, horror, and scars the world still remembers. Behind every shiny invention lies a story. And sometimes, that story is darker than the sky above a battlefield. This was the rise of the installations and labs of Nazi Germany. Brilliant minds, terrifying purpose, and a legacy the world was forced to face forever. There are moments in history where human genius feels almost unreal. Moments where invention pushes so far ahead, it feels like the future cracked open early. But sometimes, that genius comes wrapped in darkness. Welcome to the dark wonders of Nazi science. Germany wasn't just building weapons. They were rewriting the rulebook of technology. Rockets that could leave Earth's atmosphere. Jets that sliced through the sky faster than anything alive. Weapons so advanced the world hadn't even dreamed of them yet. The V-2 rocket, the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile. A machine born from equations, steel, and ambition. Capable of striking cities without warning. A terrifying first look at what future warfare would become. Then came the jet revolution. The Me-262. The first operational jet fighter in history. Fast. Deadly. Years ahead of its time. It didn't just change aviation. It reset the entire sky. And below the surface, things got even darker. Chemical warfare laboratories. Toxic nerve agents like sarin and tabun discovered in secret tests. Science meant to control, choke, and destroy life in seconds. Medical research. Cold experiments. Pressure experiments. Human experiments. Not done for healing. Done for power. For control. For war. This wasn't curiosity. This wasn't exploration. This was brilliance pointed straight into darkness. And here's the wild part. So many of these discoveries didn't disappear. They were taken, studied, used. They shaped aviation, rocket science, space travel, medicine. Yeah, history gets real uncomfortable here. Because the same science that terrified the world also helped push humanity forward. This is the truth nobody likes to face. Nazi Germany created some of the most advanced technology the world had ever seen. But it came from cruelty, fear, and suffering. Genius. Born in hell. Innovation. Chained to horror. These were the dark wonders. A reminder that human brilliance has power. But without humanity, it becomes a nightmare. Behind every machine, every rocket, every nightmare invention, there were men. Not faceless villains. Not nameless ghosts. Real people. With real choices. And they chose power. They chose ambition. They chose the darkness. These were the minds behind it all. First up, Werner von Braun. A rocket genius. A dreamer obsessed with space. But willing to build terror to get there. The V-2 rockets that rained down on cities? Yeah, that was his creation. Brilliance, wrapped in destruction. Then Arthur Rudolph. Cold. Calculated. A production mastermind. He didn't just design factories. He drove slave labor to the edge of death to build rockets faster. For him, efficiency mattered. Lives didn't. Hubertus Struckholt. Later celebrated as the father of space medicine. But his research roots? Experiments that pushed the human body to horrifying limits. Kurt Blohm. The man behind biological warfare dreams. Poison. Plague. Anything that could break a nation from the inside out. Otto Ambros. Chemist of death. Deep in secret labs he helped birth some of the deadliest nerve agents known to mankind. And they weren't alone. Hundreds of engineers, doctors, mathematicians, physicists. Some chasing glory. Some chasing survival. Some just drowning in blind loyalty. Here's the part that twists the stomach. They weren't monsters by birth. They were brilliant minds, who simply chose to point their brilliance toward cruelty. They changed history. They reshaped war. And later, their knowledge would shape the future far beyond Germany. This is why history gets complicated. Because these men weren't just villains in a story. They were proof of something terrifying. Human genius is powerful. But without conscience, it becomes madness. These were the men behind the madness. And the world is still living with the consequences. There comes a moment in every empire when the lies run out and reality crashes in. By 1944, Nazi Germany wasn't invincible anymore. It was bleeding, breaking, crumbling from the inside. All that pride, all that power, started slipping away. The Allies were closing in from the west. The Soviets were storming from the east. And suddenly, that unstoppable war machine? Yeah, it started to panic. Cities that once roared with confidence now echoed with fear. Bombs rained down. Streets burned. Families hid underground. The empire that promised glory delivered nothing but ruins. Inside the Nazi leadership, chaos exploded. Arguments, betrayals, desperation. Hitler locked himself away, lost in fantasy while reality tore his world apart. Supplies were gone. Fuel was gone. Hope was gone. And the scientists? They saw the writing on the wall. The rocket geniuses, the engineers, the masterminds, they knew the Reich was finished. So they started planning their survival. Hiding documents, burying blueprints, protecting technology like treasure. Because everyone knew one thing. Their brains were now the most valuable weapons left in Germany. The Soviets wanted them. The Americans wanted them. Everyone wanted the secrets locked inside their heads. Meanwhile, the battlefield turned into pure desperation. Teenagers forced into uniforms. Old men dragged back into war. A collapsing regime clinging to a fantasy of victory that never existed. And then, it finally happened. Berlin fell. The swastika came down. The Reich was dead. But here's the twist most people never talk about. The story didn't end when the war did. Because now, a new race was about to begin. A race for the scientists. A race for the knowledge. A race for the future. And that is where things get even crazier. When the dust settled after World War II, the world thought the nightmare was finally over. But behind the celebrations, behind the flags and the victory speeches, another battle quietly began. A battle not fought with tanks or bullets, but with brains. The United States and the Soviet Union were staring straight at each other. No trust, no friendship, just tension thick enough to choke on. They both wanted power. They both wanted the future. And both of them knew one terrifying truth. Germany might have lost the war, but their scientists? They were still way ahead of everybody else. Rocket geniuses. Aviation masterminds. Chemists, doctors, engineers. Men who had created weapons that shocked the world. So the US made a decision in the shadows. A decision that would rewrite history. Bring them here. Every brilliant mind they could get. No matter what they did. This wasn't a public program. This wasn't something leaders bragged about. This was quiet. Classified. Buried under layers of secrecy. They called it Operation Paperclip. Files were cleaned. War records adjusted. Backgrounds rewritten like a script. And how did they mark the ones they wanted? With actual paperclips stuck on top of their files. Yeah, that's how real this was. The mission? Get to these scientists before the Soviets did. Because if America didn't grab them, the enemy would. And so it began. Secret meetings. Hidden flights. Quiet deals with men who once served a brutal regime. Was it moral? Was it right? Did the ends justify the means? Those questions didn't matter to the people making decisions. What mattered was the future. The Cold War was coming. A new kind of war. And the US was determined not to lose. So in the darkness, away from cameras and headlines, Operation Paperclip was born. And the world would never be the same again. Yo, picture this. The war ends. But the game? Nah. It's just getting started. The world ain't breathing easy. It's holding its breath. America scoops up Nazi scientists under Operation Paperclip. But the Soviets? They ain't sitting quiet either. They pull up like, bet. We got our own moves. This right here is the Cold War chessboard. Two superpowers. Locked in silence. But screaming power. The Soviets swoop into Germany, grabbing factories, labs, files. And yeah, scientists too. They rebuild rockets, crank up intelligence networks, and start shadow wars nobody's supposed to know about. Meanwhile, the world watches skies. Missiles. Bombs. Nuclear fear creeping into every living room like a ghost no one can exorcise. Then the flex happens. 1957. Sputnik. Boom, the Soviets drop the first satellite into space like, yeah, we hear. What you gonna do about it? America panics. Kids doing nuclear drills in classrooms. Politicians sweating. Everyone realizing, this ain't just about land anymore. It's brains versus brains. Tech versus tech. Power versus power. And behind every move? Secrets. Spies. Silent wars in hotels, embassies, bunkers, and labs. Shadow missions. People disappearing. Files locked forever. But here's the wild part. All this started because both sides wanted the same thing. Power built on the minds of former enemies. So yeah, the Soviet strike back wasn't just military. It was psychological. Global. A quiet storm shaping every future war, every rocket launch, every tense handshake on the world stage. This wasn't just history. This was the beginning of a world living on edge. A planet split in two. Hoping nobody pushes the final button. Cold War chess. And the Soviets just made their move. Yo. Imagine this. Fresh out of World War II. America ain't just building cities and highways. They're building something way bigger. Operation Paperclip brought the mines. But now? Those mines needed playgrounds. So across the US, massive labs rise up from the desert, the mountains, the forests, places the public ain't even supposed to know about. White Sands, Los Alamos, Redstone, mysterious hangars in the middle of nowhere. Scientists work in silence. America smiling on the outside. But behind guarded gates and barbed wires? Low-key genius. Mixed with danger. Mixed with moral chaos. Rocket engines scream into the sky. Explosions shake the earth. Nobody in the neighborhoods nearby even knows what's really being tested. Journalists ask questions. Government replies with silence. Because this ain't just tech. It's power. America wants to protect humanity. But here's the twist. To protect it, they start building things that could destroy it. Scientists inside these bases wrestling with something deeper. Just because you can build something. Should you? Some see glory. Some see fear. Some feel like they sold their souls to history. Outside the fences, America lives normal life. Kids playing, cars cruising, diners glowing with neon lights. Inside the fences, equations, blueprints, classified files, and weapons that could rewrite the planet. Science keeps pushing forward. But humanity keeps whispering. How far is too far? This wasn't just research. This was a gamble. A race to power. Where the world hopes the people running it still got a conscience. Science versus humanity. And America just turned the lab lights on. After decades of secret labs, stolen mines, and silent wars, the world was about to witness something insane. July 20th, 1969. Neil Armstrong steps off the Eagle onto the lunar surface. One small step. One giant leap. For all mankind. But let's be real. That moon landing didn't just happen overnight. It was born from chaos. War. And yes, the brains of men who once served a regime the world hated. Wernher von Braun. Once building rockets to rain terror on Europe. Now building the Saturn V that carried humans to another world. Science and ambition collided. Humanity and morality clashed. And the payoff? The moon. Silver and silent. Watched by the whole planet. The world paused. Televisions flickered in homes from Tokyo to New York. People held their breath, staring at a footprint nobody had ever seen before. And beyond the awe, the Cold War had a new battlefield. Space became the new chessboard. Satellites, rockets, and global eyes glued to the sky. The payoff wasn't just the moon. It was the technology, the ambition, the leap for humankind. And yes, the hidden legacy of minds plucked from a fallen empire. Every satellite orbiting Earth. Every supersonic plane cutting the clouds. Every step humans take toward Mars. It traces back to those secret labs. Those men. Those choices. History paused that day. But it also whispered a truth nobody wanted to admit. Progress often comes on the edge of morality. The moon landing was the payoff. The proof that brilliance, even born in darkness, can change the world forever. Here's the thing. History isn't black and white. It's messy. Full of shadows and choices nobody wants to admit. Operation Paperclip? It worked. Rocket science skyrocketed. Space exploration? Boom. We landed on the moon. But here's the kicker. The brilliance came with a cost. These men, once part of a brutal regime, their hands covered in blood, now shaping the future. And that's the question nobody can dodge. Do we forgive, because the results are too damn big to ignore? Or do we condemn, because some things are just unforgivable? It ain't simple. The Saturn V rocket, nuclear deterrence, medical advancements, all touched by minds that once chose cruelty. Every success story carries a shadow. Every technological leap has an invisible moral price tag. And every time we cheer a human achievement, somewhere in the past, someone paid a price that can never be repaid. So we keep asking, was it worth it? Could we have achieved the same without compromising our conscience? The problem? There's no clear answer. No yes or no. Just a question that echoes through history. Because brilliance and darkness, progress and morality, they're tangled forever. And every time humanity reaches for the stars, we gotta ask ourselves, what price we're willing to pay? The question isn't going away. And maybe it never should.